Good morning, Massive. Happy Wednesday. You done know it's DJ Bubbles here, live and direct from the city of Toronto. They say that the early bird catches the first worm. It's not 6 o'clock yet here in the GTA. I also believe that the early bird catches the first thought. So what came to mind for me this morning was 9/11 in the city of New York when the Twin Towers fell. The majority of people were running out of the building to get to safety because they weren't ready to depart from the earth. You don't know. Do you ever sit and wonder were those firemen, instead of running out of the towers, why were they running in? Running in to save people they don't know, running in to help people of all race, all colors, sizes. They weren't partial to any of that. The only thing on their mind was to rescue lives. And I'm thinking the only reason another human being would go into a collapsing, fallen building to help people that they know nothing about, it has to do with passion, it has to do with care, it has to do with a commitment. Somewhere along the line, becoming a firefighter or a rescue person is something that wasn't just an income or making $1 by the hour. It had to be a passion for them to just run in without a second thought, knowing fully well they may not make it out alive. They ran in anyway. When people were saying evacuate, you know what I mean? So why I'm talking about all of this, I'm just sitting here thinking about the system here in Canada, the Canadian mental health system, you know. So many people are affected by mental illness in this country. A lot in the bigger cities, you'll see it's more prevalent in cities such as Vancouver, Toronto. Reason being, it's hard to live in a big city. You could get lost in the cracks, lost on so many levels. It's not easy to suffer with mental illness. They say it takes 3 catastrophic episodes to actually induce psychosis. You know what I mean? Let's say you lose your job, you break up with your lover, you have nowhere to live. That's catastrophic. You know what I mean? But especially here in Toronto, living downtown, when you walk down the street, like on Shooter and you know, Sherbourne and Bloor, you see so many people walking down the street. Some have no shoes on, they're in dirty clothes, they're sleeping on a piece of cardboard on benches and what have you. That's mental illness right there. And do you ever wonder how come the government doesn't do anything about it? I want to tell you something. We actually do have a minister of mental health and addictions. Her name is Rasaks, but you don't really see her much on TV. Every year they have Mental Health Awareness Month and they have the green ribbon, but do all of these professionals actually have a passion? Would they put their life on the line to save someone who's mentally ill? No, they wouldn't. I mean, do you know that policemen do not have special training on how to interact with someone who may be going through psychosis or who may want to commit suicide. They're not professionally trained. They're just trained to flash the bag and pull the trigger if necessary. You know what I mean? So that passion in this country in terms of caring about other people when they're ill, I'm focusing on the mentally ill, it's missing in this country. You know? I mean, nobody goes out there in the street to help these people who are clearly not within their a correct frame of mind, or they're not thinking their cognitive level of cognitivity is definitely not on a normal range, you know. Yet still nobody's out there in the streets trying to help them or save them. And when they do get hospitalized or go through triage or the 72-hour observation, they basically give them the key and say bye bye, you know. If there's no family standing behind them, you know, that wants to see their loved one gets better, they basically toss them out the door when they are supposed to have that passion to work and treat and heal people. You know what I mean? That's missing in the Canadian mental health system. I mean, if you know somebody is not well mentally, why do they have the option of choosing whether or not they want to be treated? Someone who is not there cognitively or their mental state is fractured, what do you think they're going to say? They're going to say no, they don't want to be treated. But then guess what happens when these hospitals like CAMH and these uh, institutions that are designed to intervene and treat and heal the mentally ill, guess what happens? They let them go back into the street. And if they do something that's out of the norm of society's expectations, 9 times, okay, I'll give them grace. 8 times out of 10, they get arrested. And they get hurt by police who have no training how to interact, and they have no training on crisis intervention. So that's why so many mentally ill prisoners, for example, in the South Detention Center, the guards and police use excessive force and they end up dead or they end up lost in the street. The very same psychiatrists and social workers that went to school and were trained on how to treat and heal the mentally ill will drive a little faster when they pass them on the street, you know? So the reason why those firemen ran into the World Trade Center when everybody else was running out, they had something, humanity, compassion, and they really truly cared. In Canada, the psychiatrists, the social workers, the ministers of community and social services, the minister of mental health and addictions here in Canada, they're lacking what those firemen had. They do not care, they have no compassion, and definitely no humanity. And that is why the streets of Toronto is filled with so many individuals who are living and suffering and dying with mental illness. Think about it.